Well, the wait is over, everybody. I got my third in the trio of the Motor City Gameworks Roll and Write games, starting with Three Sisters. Then I got Motor City, and now I've got my hands on French Quarter. So what do I think of all these 2-sheet, 8-round roll and writes? Specifically, where does French Quarter fit in with the other two? What do I think about all of them? It's coming right up. This video was brought to you by Noble Knight Games. More about them at the end of the video. So the trio of these games began with Three Sisters. Corns, bean, and squash are the trio of your crops that you're growing here, along with this beautiful array of flowers. But I think the coolest feature of Three Sisters is the rondelle and the dice selection system. Now, I have to say for all three of these, the dice selection system is definitely the feature, along with the really detailed 2-sheet game player sheets that players get to play with. But Three Sisters really set the stage for this nice 45-minute to 60-minute roll and write game that players can really kind of, take a bite out of. And I think Three Sisters did a great job of doing that. It had the classic theme with great artwork and just a really nice, clean system where you've got too much to do and not enough time to do it. But again, it's got that clever rondelle system. So Three Sisters, 3 thumbs up if I can do that. And I have to say that the next game coming into the series, Motor City, I was like, manufacturing cars. Not sure if that's my jam. It doesn't feel like where I'm from or what I'm used to, but it pulled me in almost right away. And I have to attribute that to the gameplay and the ability to marry that theme with the gameplay itself, testing cars, manufacturing, like selling cars. It was pretty much from start to finish of cars. And, I have to say again, it surprised me and it won me over by the end. I think the system of drafting dice in that game is also really, really cool because you have a grid and you're rolling a balanced amount of dice based on the amount of players you have, and you are putting them into their matching columns and rows. So it kind of shows players what's available, what you have to kind of grab first, and what you might want to prioritize. So really cool. Again, you got the rondelle with Three Sisters. This one you've got this kind of grid for your dice drafting system. And now I've got French Quarter. And what this brings into play with the dice is a card that matches the particular die color. And there are symbols to help with that so that it's colorblind friendly. And you are taking a die and a card paired together, and that's going to be your turn. And you're always going to be taking 2, which all the others do that same system as well, but in turn order. So you are looking at the cards that are available, and there's always one more pairing of a card and a die than there are players in the game. And so you are going to take one collection and then do your turn, and then another player's going to go, it's going to come back to you, and you're going to do it again. And so this one tells you pips on a die, which is your D6, but then the card itself is going to tell you where you're going and what kind of vehicle you're using, because in French Quarter, you are down in Louisiana. You're in New Orleans, and I have to say that this is, again, not necessarily where I saw myself wanting to play a game, but I picked up immediately on the high energy party feel. I was just walking up and down the streets in this game because one of your player sheets is a grid of different buildings and locations and locales on all these famous streets in New Orleans. And then your other sheet keeps track of all of your different bonuses that you're earning and your victory points towards your progress towards your scoring at the end. So I have to say, again, I had to kind of be won over by the theme, but once I was playing the game, I was. And it was just so delightful and surprising and fun. Another cool feature that French Quarter offers players is bonus track choices. So whenever you get points on your bonus tracks because you're getting those particular symbols, you're really living it up on one of those streets, going to a lot of those locations or buildings, or gaining those icons on your action cards, you're going to have a choice of sometimes a multiplier or the bonus action or the bonus opportunity. And I like that because you're like, well, do I want to get the bonus or do I want to actually have the multiplier because I'm really, again, living it up on this street and I want to have a high multiplier for the end of the game. So there's some nice choice in the middle of the game as you are going down these bonus tracks. And you kind of have to pick your route because the way you place your die pip in your building location is not just random willy-nilly. Your locations that are adjacent to each other, either on the same street or across from the street, from each other, have to be the same pip number or one higher or one lower. And it always has to follow that. So as you walk down a street, you might have a 5, a 5, a 4, a 3, a 3, but everything around those have to then be the same number or one higher or lower. So you have to be really careful about where you're walking and which combination of die and action card you're taking every single round, every single turn in each round, because there are those slight restrictions. And of course, like everything else in these games, you're going for combos, you're going for collections, you're going for super bonuses that you can get if you find those special instruments or musicians that are going to give you those bonuses. There's just fun stuff. There's fun stuff everywhere. And I find that when I'm looking at these sheets, when I'm looking at French Quarter specifically, I have so much to do and so many opportunities, and it's just loaded with things to pick and ways to kind of take your game that you want to play it again and you want to share it and you want to play it again. And it's really fun. It just is, it has that lively spirit and that color to it that I just feel so just at ease with. But I think this game actually has maybe a little bit more juice to it than the other two. And maybe it's because it's just fresher in my mind. I've played it more recently. But I felt like there were even more decisions and tougher decisions in this game. And I don't know if, again, it was just me. I felt like maybe Motor City and Three Sisters was a little bit more straightforward in what was happening. And there seemed to be more opportunity to get things in these kind of extra rounds. The other really cool feature of French Quarter that players have to really plan for is called second line. And the second line happens if a player takes the socialize or the pink action. And what that means is that player is going to select northeast, southwest, and the second line is going to be traveling throughout the city. And if you have places that you have marked on your map that are now on the second line route, every time the second line runs, which could be every single round, you're going to be gaining second line points. And those are just straight up points. And so if you are in charge of that, you really want to drive that second line where you want it to go to hit up all of your locations. And so there's, again, just nice choice with those actions. And then knowing if you want to drive that second line in the direction that helps you, or if you want to plan around that depending on where the second line begins in your game, which is randomized for every single game. But yeah, I think that this one gave me even more choice. I felt like I was kind of stumped, and sometimes the domino effect of bonuses and bonuses and bonuses and bonuses that happen with a lot of roll and writes gave me just a little bit of a crunch, and it was okay. It was nice. I didn't mind it. I felt like it was just really engaging, and again, a lovely, lovely addition to the trio. So I find myself having a really hard time putting them one above the other because I find that they are all three doing similar things. They all have 8 rounds. They all have a unique and interesting dice drafting or selection at the beginning of every round, with players taking 2 turns per round, essentially. And they all have 2-player sheets that are asking them to do too much and giving them a lot of choice. And I think that the themes is hard. It's really hard for me to judge because gardening is just, again, so universal. It feels like the thing that most people might connect with. But then Motor City, I felt after I played it, really connected with me. And then I also enjoyed the fun and the flair of French Quarter, which, again, never been. So for me, it's tough because I'm like, if they won me over with the theme and with the marrying of the ideas and the images and the artwork and the theme with the gameplay, I feel like it was really, really successful. So for all of these, 1 to 4 players, and I believe the Motor City is the 1 to 5, but it is generally 1 to 4 players, 45 minutes a game, and there are tons and tons of sheets, and you have just a handful of dice to play with. It's really, really clever and really fun, super duper replayable. I have to say, just again, wasn't disappointed with French Quarter and how it fit in so nicely with my other 2. And I feel like these 3 are just going to be hanging out together with each other. And one night I'm going to pull all 3 of them out and I'm going to get them on the table and play them back to back to back. And I think it's just going to be a ton of fun because they all offer unique and interesting choice, and with that kind of player interaction. You always have to be careful of what you're leaving for your opponents, but also if you have priority, what you need to take so that you can be successful. Tons of fun. So yes, enjoyed French Quarter, but also Motor City and Three Sisters. Can't get enough of these games. I will see you later, folks. Bye. I can rely on Noble Knight games for the RPGs I'm looking for, along with the board games, war games, minis, card games, and dice that suit my gaming needs. They also have specials running constantly with deals and offers that provide gamers like me and you an opportunity to invest in new and used games that have been quality controlled for accuracy and perfection.